director de la banda es el señor Márquez, pero aquí en Calexico High School, let's give him an applause. Aquí en Calexico High School, su programa de jazz es nuevo y sí quiero comentar eso en unos segundos porque al nivel que han llegado ahorita, al nivel que han formado como grupo, han súper sobresalido. Recientemente han hecho competencias y recordings, han grabado sus canciones y competido y ganado. Entonces, para lograr eso, para lo poquito que he aprendido de una banda de jazz, como me enseña el señor Márquez, es difícil y son lo mejor de lo mejor estudiantes que tocan los instrumentos, que tienen mucha experiencia. Al principio cuando empezó, he was like, okay, el que quiera tocar jazz, let's go to jazz. And he's, no, it doesn't work like that, no funciona así. So el señor Márquez estuvo enseñándome qué tipo de talento. También a veces decía, okay, niños 5 de trompetas or whomever. He's like, no, in a jazz band, you only, en un grupo de jazz, nada más este instrumento, 2 de este instrumento, 3 de este instrumento. So, en estos 2 años ha podido lograr un grupo de jazz que es reconocido aquí en el Valle, en el ambiente de música y de jazz. So they're awesome, they play beautifully. I saw them recently, los miré hace poquito en el gimnasio. So let's give them a big round of applause so you welcome them and you can enjoy their music. Thank you, Mr. Márquez, and thank you to all of you students for being here tonight and showcasing and showing off your skills. Thank you. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Testing. There we go. All right, so we're going to introduce and welcome our Navy cadets. Our Navy cadets are part of our NJROTC program. It is a very exciting program that we have here at Calexico High School. It's in its 4th year. It's very successful. It's led by Commander Fictel, retired Navy commander. I want to ask all of us to welcome them as they will lead us in the presentation of colors. And if I could have Diego lead us in the flag salute. Everyone, please stand up. Diego, come up here.
Please place your right hand over your heart. And we're going to begin. I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. They can hear us. Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you, Commander. Okay, and again, it's el programa de los Navy Cadets está en el 4º año. Es un programa muy triunfante con muchos éxitos ahorita y estamos entusiasmados de graduar a la primera clase de cadets, que muchos de ellos ya tienen muy buenas opciones con Armed Forces. So again, thank you to Commander, and let's move on. And then, so we'll continue with our jazz, or mega jazz band.
We have our translations. Tenemos la traductora ya. Entonces, si gustan, la presentación va a ser en inglés y la traducción lo van a hacer ellos. Entonces, si gustan pasar allá para los audífonos de traducciones, allá acá en enfrente pueden obtenerlo. We have what? One more song, Mr. Marquez? One more song. Thank you.
Testing. Let's give one more big round of applause to our Calexico High School jazz team. That was outstanding. Thank you, guys. It was beautiful. Next, we have our first keynote of the night, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you a former student from Calexico. She attended De Anza, and she also attended Aurora High School. She's a graduate of Imperial Valley College, and she is set to complete her Bachelor's of Art in the area of social work very, very soon. And she's already committed to go on and continue her master's degree. Just a big round of applause to Betsy Pino.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. It's nice to see you all today here. Just to tell you a little bit about myself. Well, I had a rough upbringing. My father passed away when I was 12, and both of my parents suffered from alcoholism. And after my dad passed away, my mom, thank you, she began to see other people, and it exposed me to different things, such as domestic violence, drug and alcohol abuse, drug dealing. And during that time, it was hard for me to attend school. It was a struggle for my attendance. I couldn't focus. Nothing really stuck with me as I was going in my classes. This created low self-esteem. It affected my confidence. Thank you. And basically thinking that school wasn't for me, and I felt like I lacked the skills for school. So upon entering the foster care system, I moved around from place to place. I went to my oldest brother in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and I began to improve in school. So I was with him and with his wife, and they encouraged me. They held me accountable when it came to school, which got me to notice that when I was held accountable and I was supported by them, I did well in school. So eventually, I was able to obtain my high school diploma, and thanks to the support of my brother and my sister-in-law, I was able to get that done. Then I decided to come back to Imperial Valley, and with that, I did start working, and I went to IVC. I was at IVC for as a full-time student, and I was working 2 jobs, I remember at one point, so I had a lot on my plate. So basically, I failed. Going back to school, having too much on my plate, it caused me to get bad grades. I got Fs, I got Ws because of dropping out. It discouraged me. So I dropped out at IVC, and I worked in retail for like 2 years. I was just focused on working and put education aside because, as I said, I felt like education wasn't for me. But I feel that I realized that I wasn't happy and I wanted more for myself, so I gave college another try. But this time, I took it at my own pace, and I decided that if I'm going to go back, I'm going to focus completely on school. So then, luckily, I had the support system that allowed me not to have to work, so I focused only on school, took it 3 classes, 2 classes at a time. Little by little, I noticed that my grades were getting better, so I started gaining more confidence. And before I knew it, I had my associates in behavioral science. I graduated in 2018, and now I'm going to graduate with my bachelor's in this coming May 2020. So I'm also looking into getting my master's, as Mr. Padilla mentioned. And recommendations that I have for you today is consistency. Consistency is key. Giving youth guidance and support. They really need support. That's what helped me get through. And what the school could have done to help me before I went into foster care, I feel like that they could have helped me by being more attentive, maybe noticing like the red flags, the signs, the fact that I was missing a lot of school. It should have been a red flag, right? And maybe even reporting it to CPS, Child Protective Services. That could have helped me get out of a bad situation sooner. So I think schools should well, they could have, and they should have noticed my absences and made a report, right? So as school staff and parents, and just community members in general, it's important to report any type of abuse when it comes to children. Even neglect, it's a type of abuse, right? So you shouldn't wait till it gets really bad. If you suspect something, that's all it should take for you to save a child's life. What could have helped me was like, what could have helped my self-confidence and my self-esteem? I think it would have been support and empowerment. If I would have been more empowered and, well, just instead of being passed on, right? Because I remember when I was in school that I didn't even graduate middle school, like I didn't pass. They just kind of like pushed me through to the 9th grade. So unfortunately, I was just passed on. And so after that, after I was already into the foster care system, I feel that schools could have gave me a little bit more support, be interactive, attentive, as I mentioned, that helps, and help improve academics, because with children in foster care, they're suffering from instability a lot because they're moving from home to home, so it's hard. It's hard to, you know, be in a place where you're stable, or, you know, like me, a lot of absences. So making sure a child is on track. So keep that support with with children in foster care, or children in general, right? What helped me do well in school and succeed in college, I feel is that I always knew I wanted better for my future. I knew that I wanted something better for my future than what my childhood gave me. And I needed to take control of my own story. I figured out that no one can take away my education. That is the one thing that I have control over. And so I knew that I didn't want to repeat my mom's cycle, and so I wanted to be better. And growing up, I had no control over the cards that were handed to me, right? But now it's completely up to me as to where I want my life to go, as to what direction I want my life to go. And so what helped me stay motivated is really the fear of failure. I feel that the self-drive of moving forward and wanting a better outcome. The reality is that it has not been easy. It took a lot of years of building self-confidence for my education. I could not have done it without my support system, really. And it also took me seeking mental health services. Experiencing trauma is a lifelong struggle. And, you know, however, one can learn to manage it and help heal scars. Thank you.
Let's give Betsy another round of applause for sharing her story. So our goal for tonight is goal 4, and it's on pupil engagement and school climate. And our keynote speakers for tonight tie exactly with what this goal is all about. And so we'll be sharing information as we go through here, but just to reemphasize some of the words that Betsy used is, she asked for empowerment as she's going through schooling. She asked about being attentiveness, they want attention. And then she talked about consistency. So as we look at some of the data of our subgroups that we have here, let's look at and think and reflect on some of the things that Betsy mentioned, including having control over her own story and not wanting to repeat the same cycle that her mother went through. So those are very key ideas as we go through this. So part of the data that we use under this goal and under these priorities is the graduation rates. So I want to share with you what our graduation rates have been over time. So here you see Calexico Unified. Then we separate Calexico High School and Aurora. And there was changes made, and we continue to have changes as we're going through the new funding and changes that we've had with the state. So you see this blue box around it. The state says any data that was used in the past, we're not going to consider anymore because changes came about. So for example, in 16-17, we had a graduation rate of 94.4%. between both Calexico High School and Aurora. At this point, there was a change in the way continuation schools were graded. Prior to this, students were graded or were given points for graduation if they went through the 4-year cohort. So if you graduated on your 5th year, we didn't get points, okay? So it changed for the continuations. Then last year, there was a small dip, and then this year they changed the rule again. So you see the drastic change. So now for the comprehensive high schools, now we count 4-year cohorts. That means you started in 9th grade, graduated in 12th, and they also count 5th year. That's not the same case for continuations. Continuations now have a brand new rule, and we're still trying to figure out how that changed, because now you start as seniors and you graduate that year. And one of the things we noticed that if we had students graduating in December, they were not accounted for. So we're still trying to figure out how the tests change, how the rules change. But overall, our rate went to 83.6. This is how we are graded in the dashboard. We're giving a color, just like some of the other priorities that you've seen. And what this indicates is that Calexico High School, the status is high, and compared to last year, they had a decline. We went from 94 to 92 to 91, right? For Aurora, they're in the very low status because our graduation rate is smaller. Now we're at 44. And they also, instead of maintaining, they went backwards, and so they declined. So what about our subgroups? If we saw that our graduation rate between both schools is 86%, which subgroup had the lowest graduation rate? English learners, right? With 77.6 compared to the 86%. And we actually had a decline of 10%. What's our next subgroup? Socio-Economic disadvantaged students, okay? And with them, we also had a decline of 7.3. If you notice over here, we have 2 other subgroups, like our foster youth. The reason we're not giving a performance is because we have 5 students that were seniors that graduated at this point, and due to confidentiality, because the number is so small, they don't give us a color for them. Dropout rate is not a dashboard. We're not being graded on this, but we still want to share because the rules change also for students when they're being dropped. In the past, if a student was not here on the first day of school, we would put him as no show. They didn't show up, and then we move on and we enroll the students that were coming in. We can no longer do that because if a student is a no-show, we have to figure out where they're at. Because if we can't prove that they either went to another state, another district, or to another country, they count as dropout rate. So our schools, since day one, they start calling and trying to find out where are these students that didn't show up for our first day of school. And we have about 10 days before we actually say, you know what, we lost a student in terms of we can't find them. We don't know if they went to another country, if they went to another state, or if they're here in another district. Sometimes we find out from other students that will tell us, oh, you know what, they went back to Mexicali. And that's how we find out. But if the parents did not notify us, it counts against us, and now they're considered a dropout. So we went from 4.6 to 13.5 to 13.7. So this number doesn't necessarily mean that they dropped out. It could mean that they just moved to another country and we were not notified. Suspension is an indicator that we have. If you notice, here we have the maintained, and then here, if you decline, that's a good thing, right? We want less suspensions. If you increase, that's a bad thing. It means we have more students being suspended. So if we look at our suspension rate, all students combined, we're at 5%. Let's look at our schools. So in the very very high status, we have Willie Moreno. Compared to last year, they had more suspensions. Aurora went from red to orange to yellow because they declined significantly. A lot less suspensions compared to last year. In the high status, we as a district, after taking all of these into consideration, we ended up as increased. Then you have Cesar Chavez, Jefferson Kennedy, and Rockwood. They also are in the medium, so they're way higher over here, which means it's good when you're getting close to blue, but they also increased the suspensions. Calexico High School maintained, so they didn't get more or they didn't get less, they stayed around the same. And then Dual and Enrique Camarena had a decline. So they don't have as many suspensions compared to the previous year. The schools with the lowest amount of suspensions are Blanche Charles and Mains, and compared to last year, instead of maintaining, they actually increased a little bit more in their suspensions. So if you look at our subgroups, which of our subgroups has students suspended the most? So our youth that is under foster care, okay, are students that are suspended the most. And we heard Betsy's story, and we'll hear another story in a little bit, but they go through a lot, right? She mentioned that there's a lot of trauma, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we want to make sure that you understand why these youth have the highest percentage of suspension. Which one is our next group? Our students with special needs, right? They also have special needs. And so they also have, we need to work and see what can we do to support our students. So compared to the other subgroups, the other ones are around the 5%, that's what we had for our general population. So let's see how we're doing so far under suspension. In the first month of school this year, we had 34 students suspended between August 26 and September 13. Out of those 34 students, between them, they accumulated 80 suspensions. So for example, at Dual, you had 4 students, and there was a total of 4 suspensions. Each one was suspended once, right? If I go to Jefferson, 3 students accumulated 5 suspensions. So each one was suspended once, and then you have 2 more. So one student could have been suspended 2 more times, or 2 students could have added 1 and 1. So this is how you read this graph. From month 1 to month 2, so we're now in school for 2 months. We went from 34 students to 57 students being suspended. Look at the suspensions. We went from 80 to 158. Twice as many students, twice as many suspensions, not necessarily twice as many students. First 3 months, we're now at 361 suspensions, twice as much as the previous month. And then by January 3rd, which is 4 months, month 1 through 5, we have 524 suspensions, and those were accumulated with 169 students. So we need to find out who are their students, why are they being suspended, what are their needs. And next, we have Hortensia, who's going to present our next keynote.
Good evening, parents. My pleasure to introduce Josh Lopez. Let's hear it for Josh. Josh was also a student in foster care. Welcome to Calexico High School, Josh.
Thank you. I'm going to have Betsy stand up here with me because she was also a former foster youth. You guys are getting translated, right? So awesome, because my Spanish is not the best. But I'm going to just support what the assistant superintendent was sharing right now. We like to call that a report card. It just shows how good the schools are doing. And as she was showing the report card for Calexico, I was thinking, when I was younger, where did I mess up our school's report card if I did, right? And so the crazy thing about it is one student, right, as an English learner, I came out on where was I meeting or exceeding standards? Was I in the red? I hit the English learner portion. Was I socially, economically disadvantaged? Well, I was. Was I hitting on the foster? Most definitely. Was I hitting on the suspensions? I was. And it just shows the impact one student can make on every single, I want to say, like subgroup that she was saying. So I fall into here. I'm sorry if you can go back. So I fell into here. They call me white. I'm Hispanic, right? Hispanic, because it's hard for me to speak Spanish. I was socially disadvantaged. And at one point, I was homeless. And so what I was thinking now, Where I fell in all those subject groups, it started when I was 2 years old. I was 2 years old, and my mom took off, right? She left. And then my dad had the privilege to raise us, right? My dad took off when I was around 7 or 8. So then who else takes it? Keep in mind where we're trying to fit, right? Then my grandma takes me in, and then my grandma and grandpa take me in. They both die the same day, right? And I'm not even in 5th grade. This is me getting to 4th grade, right? I'm barely at 4th grade. And then I get into middle school, and here I am in middle school. And then what are schools thinking and what are parents thinking? Well, how can we help him? He's in foster youth. He's moving home to home to home. And in reality, as parents, guardians, schools, we have more power than we think. So really, truly look at some of this data that the school is showing you, because there's like Betsy said, empowerment. There's power we can do, right? If some of the neighbors or some of the other teachers would have said, hey, this student needed help already before. I'm 2 years old. I'm in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade. I'm sure I wasn't running around saying, hey, I need help. Help me. But I was acting out, fights. I remember having a fight when I was in 4th grade. I punched this kid because he was saying, can you believe my mom only gave me $20 for lunch? And nope, there it is. There goes Josh again. Nomás no entiende. I say, I know that. No entiende. No entiende. Well, there's a reason why some of us get moved through the process. I'm not even in high school. I haven't even told them about my high school life. I'm not even in high school yet. But somewhere along, I still got moved. And this is not a knock on all the schools, but it should be a 50-50 partnership is what I think. Schools can provide resources, but parents, you have to take it. And in reality, the school can only do so much, and we can lay out all these beautiful resources for you. Contact Project ACE if you have a foster youth. Contact your parent liaison if you have an issue or concern. Maybe help you how to file a proper CPS report on the name or whatever it may be. But if we don't take opportunities or resources, these indicators are always going to continue to decline in some of these areas. When I got to high school, that's when I was homeless in high school. My legal guardians and I wasn't getting any mental help. I was angry. My knuckles are broke. I used to get in fights. My dad left me with like about 18, 19 scars on my head. And the best thing I could do is just laugh it out. Just laugh and have a good time. I'm going to act out in class. But still, whoever my foster parent was not taking advantage of resources. So as I sit here outside and work in education, I'm thinking, hey, that's me presenting some of this data. And I'm also looking at some of us. It's like some of this stuff shows us the reflection of our school. And most of us is a 50-50 partnership. So as you guys do these gallery walks, truly look at them and say, hey, if that was my son, if that was my daughter, if that was my neighbor, if that was my niece and nephew, where do they fall on some of these indicators? And so when I got to high school and I was homeless, I still live off these 2 bags. It was a blue bag and I have a black bag. And one of my black bags I have my socks and the other one I have my shirts in, because in my mindset, I'm still reading, okay, at any moment I got to get up and ready to go. And I'm thinking, man, you have a pretty good job, man. Just chill. You're going to be just fine. But if that would have been taken advantage of by some of my foster parents or some of my legal guardians, maybe I wouldn't be thinking like, I got to prep for another disaster to happen. Now, I'm a school principal now. Okay? I work, thank you. I work for alternative education. So all those kids that fall into these indicators, I push back. I push back and I say, okay, before we meet, bring your guardian in here. I don't live with my mom. Who do you live with? I'm alone. Then I'm going to speak to you, but you report to somebody. You live with somebody. I need to have a conversation. And if you know that some of these educators and some of these administrators are reaching out to you, trust me when I say I understand the life of the principals and the superintendents, and you are why. You're the reason why we work at a school for you guys, because we see ourselves in that path. I have a student coming into my office. He's like, Lopez, you don't understand. And I was, ay, mijo, take a seat. I know that too, right, from my grandma. Take a seat. Let's talk. And it's never about me. It's about we. Think of we. When someone's showing you their school report card, it's so easy to be like, oh, my God, look at that. But and I tell our staff, we have this thing when we do gallery walks, and I do PD, professional development. I said, hey, whatever you're going to suggest, think of mirrors and mirrors or mirrors to windows. Is it something we can control, or are you just looking out trying to point fingers at someone else? That's something I tell all our staff. Is this mirrors and mirrors, or is this mirrors to windows? So as you look at some of this, as you hear Betsy's story, as you do this gallery walk right now, look at it and it's like, okay, what can I give advice to help enhance these students? Because in reality, these students reflect us. They're the ones living in the community. They're the ones living out in the world. I oversee the juvenile hall too. I go in there all the time. I meet with those kids. What's up? What happened? You don't understand, Lopez. It's because I don't have a behavioral support specialist. I don't have behavioral health. They're overwhelmed with referrals. CPS is not coming to my door. Well, you know what? I file, I call, I email, and I call their director. Come do a home visit with this kid. So as I sit here and I just share a little part of my story, which we just confirmed today at noon, I'm just saying, and this is the oldest saying in the world, right? Be the change you wish to see in the world, right? And I have that stuff plastered everywhere. This report card is for something. It's not just to keep you from your family at 7 o'clock at night. It's to better improve their school, and it's better to improve us as well. So as you guys do your gallery walk, look at it with the lens as of what if that was my son, daughter, cousin, nephew, what if that was me? Because as I see it, I found every single indicator, and it wasn't until I was in college that I received the help that I needed. College. And I went to school in North Dakota. I got a football scholarship that just sent me out there. I was like, whatever. Because football was the only avenue I could get my anger out. But if I could have just been able to have a conversation with another adult or taken advantage of that resource, I'm sure things would have been different when I was younger. But now as a school principal, I can sit and speak to some of these kids in a way that I'm sure these administrators here try to talk to them, but it doesn't work unless we don't have that 50-50 partnership from who you are sitting in those seats right now. You represent somebody. You represent somebody in your family, or you came for a reason. It wasn't just because the best sandwiches in the world. It was because you came here to understand that you also want to make an impact. So if you guys look around, there's a bunch of schools here. And together you guys represent Calexico Unified School District, not just Rockwood. It's a family. Start seeing it as such, and I promise you, things will change in Calexico. Things will change in your schools, and things will change in your family. So take advantage of every single resource, of every single person that you see or contact or ID number or card or mesotencia. It's not just because we want to. This is our why. We want to because we want to help you, but I can't force you to. So right now, Bente and I, we're up here, and I'm going to leave it. If you guys have any questions for us on our upbringing, I know they said we have a couple Q&As if you guys want to ask us anything at all. Everything is open. Si alguien tiene unas preguntas, como you can translate. At all? Some question that someone always asks me is, what did it for you? I had my football coach, and he was born without one arm, right? And I was in class. He's my substitute teacher, and I made fun of him. I was like, I don't trust you. I don't trust people that whatever. And then he took me outside. He's like, you want to be a clown? You join the circus. And I was like, okay, I'll listen. But that was a summarized version of the conversation we had outside, okay? But he was very stern, and he gave it to me straight. So that's what I do. I'm very transparent with our students and their parents. I push back for sure, okay? So unless you have any questions for me and Betsy on upbringing at all, resources whatsoever, yes, ma'am. I'm going to speak.
They went away, and I think they were good, but whether it's because of funding, because of whatever, they're not here no more. So you're an administrator. Do you actually see that the teachers actually make an effort? Other administrators actually make an effort to pay attention to the students and actually do something to encourage them or motivate them or engage with them in a positive manner, not just in a negative way.
Something that I love that some of our teachers do, and I can't speak on all the other schools in other districts, but is our teacher here at Calexico Academy, she does home visits, not only for home visits when your student didn't show up to school, when he got an A on a test. I have another staff member or their student support manager that once the students finished all their LCAP tests, everybody tested, it was like 98% tested, we did Pollo Disco over there at their sites for them to come eat. So do I see it? I do. Because I realized that was us at one point, 100%. And I know and they choose Pollo Disco. I'm over here like, we'll do pizza party, like, heck no, Lopez, figure something else. Like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, but let me figure this out, because we're restricted as well. I can't just buy everybody whatever they want. But yes, I do see teachers making an effort because right now what's big is mental health, social emotional, and think of it, you have to put gas in your car for it to run. You have to plug the computer against the electricity, but that comes from something, right? I can't run without my mental health. I'm running in circles. So yes, I do see a bigger push because I know something so small as saying, hey, Betsy, good job. It's good to see you today. Like, man, someone missed me yesterday. Hey, where were you at? Oh, nice shoes. I make it a point. I was raised by I had 3 sisters and myself. And if all our staff, you got a haircut, how'd you notice? Because my sister's younger. If I didn't notice stuff like that, I'm like, I one. One day when you get a wife, if you don't compliment her, and here you go, right? So I always, yes, it's true. So when I'm walking around, hey, you got a haircut, looks nice. Little things like that. And I don't focus on their schoolwork because I entrust a teacher to do that. I focus on the person. Hey, did the student come to school? He didn't because he's struggling. Okay, how can we support him? Because in order for me to put the students first, I put the teachers first and hoping they put the students first and it trickles down to them. And I don't meet with the students only when they're in trouble. I'll greet them at the door. I'll go to the parking lot and get to know your mom. You're gonna run, you got dress code? I wanna meet your mom outside before you come with my son. No, take her back, but be back in 10 minutes. We have whatever I have to do. So yes, I do see a push. And I see assistant superintendent here showing you the report card. I see a principal in this room showing a report card. If you look around, there's not just parents. So yes, the answer is yes. I understand that some of us have to show you some of this other stuff, but to go deeper as in calling people to say, hey, I was one of these students, they don't have to do that. Technically, we need to just show you the data. We're trying to get your full-blown input. We're trying to show you that you guys make a difference. So I'm going to say yes, I definitely see it. I can't speak on every school in every district, but the ones I've been blessed to work with, the ones I'm blessed to observe, yes, I definitely see that, which drove me to become a school, like to work at a school. Dang, I don't even care. It's a principal. I just wanted to work at a school, and I was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And you gave me this. Okay, let's run with it. You know, so yes, I do see that. But I also see someone like Betsy sharing her story and reaching out. I also see people that, like my sisters, they got the same opportunity. I also see Mr. Torres back there that was running Project ACE that is not employed by Calexico. I also see people that aren't employed by Calexico here. So yeah, the answer is yes again. So anybody else? I'm going to get a sandwich now. So we're good? All right.
Thank you very much to Josh and Betsy, parents, and Yvonne, all our administrators, and any of our guests that are here. I really hope you don't forget what they told you, because when we do the gallery walk, then think of what they said, because that's what we want to be able to have Betsy's and Josh in all our students, because we want all our students to be successful. So I'm going to go ahead and move now to the topic of attendance. Betsy, thank you very much for talking about attendance. And this is what I'm going to talk about, because if our students are not in school, then that's a red flag for all of us. So chronic absenteeism, you've been hearing what chronic absenteeism, and that is something new in our state. Before, if a student was excused, then we didn't question the parents. The parents would call us and say that the student was at the doctor, and then we would say, okay, well, come back, and then nothing would happen. But now with this new terminology that's chronic absences, this means if you're excused or unexcused and you're absent for more than 10% of the time, you will be chronically absent. So by the end of the school year, we have first of all, we have 180 days in the school year. By the end of the school year, if your child is out 18 days, excused or unexcused, 18 days of absences, they will be chronically absent. So there it is. Chronic absence is missing 10% or more of the school year for any reason. This includes excused and unexcused absences. A lot of times, we're in June, and parents don't realize that the child already had 18 absences because they might have missed 2 days in September, 2 more days in October. In November, it was 3 days. But if you start counting all of these, 2 to 3 days per month, it's going to equal 18 absences in one school year, and your child will be chronically absent. I'm going to talk to you about how chronic absenteeism affects our students. Okay, we have the students 180 days. That's our time. You have your sons and your daughters or the children that you take care of, you have them for 185. 50-50, like Josh said, this is 50-50. We are a team. 50%, you do 50%, we do 50%. We have them 180 days, school days. You have them 185. During those 185, you plan the parties, having them go out with friends, going on visits, on trips, to appointments, anything. You keep your 185, you have them more than 50% of the time, don't touch them. Give them to us, these 100 days, so we can teach them. So our students, if you're not in school, you can't benefit from what is taught. We've been having all these LCAP meetings and we've been asking you for input. What is it that we can do to be the best Calexico Unified School District that there is? The best district possible, okay? But we can be thinking of all these wonderful things, but if we have a bunch of empty desks, we're not gonna make a difference. Effects of chronic absenteeism. That means excused absent or unexcused absent. 83% of the students chronically absent in kindergarten and first grade are not able to read by third grade. Okay? By third grade, students who cannot read on level, that they cannot read in third grade, 4% more likely that they will drop out than kids who can. Remember that by third grade, we are not teaching students to read. We are teaching students. So if by third grade they cannot read, they are 4 times more likely to drop out. High school dropouts are 8 times more likely to be incarcerated than people with high school diplomas. That is really alarming. One of our parents that is here, she works for, she's correction officer or works for corrections. At one time, she told me, you know what, Ms. Armendariz? It's true. A lot of the people, a lot of the prisoners here, they don't know how to read. A lot of the prisoners here were dropouts. And then when she talks to them, she would say a lot of the prisoners were absent a lot. So this is for real. This does exist. Okay, our attendance data. This is attendance data from 2010 to 2019. This is, so from 2010, and when I say attendance data, this is the percentage of the time, the percentage that our schools have. Calexico Unified School District, back in 2010, we were at a 94.85. Right now, or last year, we finished 95.61. Our goal is that all our schools at least have a 98%. No, our goal, our LCAP goal was a 96.5. I wish it was a 98%. But as an LCAP goal, 96.5. You know, back in 2010, we were in the 94s. The average was 94%. And now, last year, right here, we finished Calexico Unified School District 95.61. Blanche Charles met the LCAP goal, 96.61. Cesar Chavez, 95.91. Dole, 96.34, almost got there. Jefferson, 95.81. Kennedy Gardens, 95.46. Mains met it, 96.91. Rockwood, 94.15. Enrique Camarena, 95.71. Willie Moreno, 94.88. Calexico High School, 95.47, 88.74. So where are our students? Okay, just like Betsy said, where are our students? Is somebody noticing that they're not coming to school? So these are our results. Chronic absenteeism dashboard. For this one, we want our schools to decline. That means less absences. So what we had last year is that first of all, I'm going to start, which of our schools declined? We have Cesar Chavez and Kennedy Gardens. They declined. Blanche Charles, and Main School. They declined. So over here was very high declinement, and right here was a high declinement. Maintained was Dual Elementary School. Increased, that means that they had more absences. Enrique Camarena, Willie Moreno, and of course, as Calexico Unified, we're in red. Right now, we're in red with our chronic absenteeism. And Rockwood Elementary, very high. So there was more students on this area not attending. So we are in the red with students not attending school. So what do you see here? Which is the subgroup that has the highest chronic absenteeism? Our foster youth. After our foster youth, we had, last year, we had 50 foster students. 38% of them were chronically absent. Which one's our next group? Our homeless. Our homeless. We had 515 students considered homeless. 33.6 were chronically absent. And after our homeless students, our English learners. Students with disability, okay, over there we're 24.1, 22.7. So which one is it? Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the students with disabilities. That's right, 27.7. 624 students with disabilities. Chronically absent, 27.7. Okay, our Hispanic group, 21.5 chronically absent. Our English learners, 24.1. And our socio-economically disadvantaged, we said 22.7. Question. I always ask this question. If your child is not in school and is not at home, okay, those students that our parents send to school but they don't show up, what is happening to those students? What is happening, for example, to Betsy when she didn't show up? Who's noticing? What was happening to Josh? Josh, did you go to school all the time? Okay, who is paying attention if they're not in school? This is just data that I have seen at least over 16 years of collecting data. If our students are not in school and not at home, and these are the students that our parents think they're in school, but they're not. And so these are the students that we think they're at home, but they're not. What's happening to them? I'm saying 97% of Calexico kids, because I've been doing this for 16, 17 years. Yes, our students they're going through an emotional crisis. They're depressed. They need behavioral health. They need our clinical social workers. They need our therapists. But you know what? With this, we have a lot of help. But then what's happening to our students? They're using alcohol. They're using drugs. They're committing crimes in our community. They're trafficking. They're bringing the drugs. We're a border town. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing people, illegally. That's what they're doing. Then we have teen pregnancy. We have teen dads. We have teen moms. We have STDs. So who is noticing all our students? So keep that in mind when you go out and you do your gallery walks, and what is it that we're going to do to notice our students, and what are we going to do for all those students that are not showing up to school and who are chronically absent?
And for the expulsion rate is not something that the dashboard is grading us on, but we still want to monitor, right? So over time, you'll see the expulsion recommendations. This is a number of cases that come to my office saying this student committed this, we want to proceed with expulsion. Students have due process, there's hearings. So how many of these recommendations actually became expulsions? So for example, out of these 32 students that came through the expulsion process, 15 were actually expelled. This year, up to February, we had 6 students that were recommended and 6 were expelled. And we're trying to be more detailed as to If it's a crime, for example, that they brought a gun, based on ECOD, it's an automatic expulsion, right? But if a student is being defiant and the student is fighting and the student is whatever it is that they're doing, I always ask our administrators, before we go through expulsion, what have you done to intervene? What have you done to help a student? Because our job is not to get rid of students through the expulsion process. Our job is to help them. So that's why you see that over time, we're trying to work with our students and support them through different resources before they're actually going through the expulsion process. Some of the students went through what we call suspension of expulsion, which means they were not expelled. They were given an opportunity to go back to school, but for a year, we're gonna monitor. Okay, so for a year, they're under a contract, and if they were to commit another one of the same incidents that they did, so like if they fought and they fought again, then they would be expelled. Most of our students, I believe there was only one case that we suspended the expulsion. They had an opportunity to go back, and then within weeks, messed up again, and so he went through expulsion. And then how many of our students returned to school? Because after we went through their due process, we found out that they really did not take part in this event. And so those students did return back to their school. So we already talked and we shared with you, for example, our music program. Our music program is funded under LCAP, okay? You saw our cadets. Our cadets are also funded under LCAP, but under Goal 4, they go to Student Leadership Institutes. So if they say, hey, Ramirez, there's this Leadership Institute, and we want to send our cadets, our ag students, our migrant students, we have funding for them to support them for those activities. Under this goal, we also have summer school. So you're going to have a session on summer school in a minute. Then we also have our after-school enrichment. Sometimes it's done just through the school. Sometimes it's done in partnership with our ACES program, our after-school program. So we try to showcase a lot of the activities today, which are activities that are funded through the LCAP. So for the next activity, Mr. Padilla is going to take over.
Good evening, everyone. So we're going to adjust here a little bit in the interest of time. So let me just kind of go over the directions here real quick. First of all, we've got 3 stations for you. They're all, again, supported through LCAP, and you'll see specifically the actions. 2 stations? Actually, we have 3, but we'll do one rotation for 20 minutes. So we'll do less time. We've got the actions here of where these 2 programs are funded through. We got Ashley Villanueva, who's gonna have a great station for you here. She's got some stuff called a Makey that is super cool. And then she has also gonna talk to you a little bit about Science Club, I believe, representing the after school programs. Give a big round of applause to Ashley, please. Then for our Summer Technology Academy, our Summer Tech Academy is funded through LCAP. We're going to really stretch ourselves and do something brand new that we've never done before. And so we're going to give you a little preview, just a small preview of what we have coming for the summer school. So let me give you the options real quick. We're going to do just 1 20-minute stations. You can walk between the 3 of them. Admin, please work with your parent groups and try one of these out. Over here, we got something real exciting that's called a rigamajig. We have all these wheels. We have these gears. We have these different planks. We have rope. We have boats. In 20 minutes, you got to build something. Build something, an invention for a person. It could be for a friend, a neighbor, for your child, or it could be an invention for your pet. You got to build quickly, come together with a team. There's plenty to support teams of 4 to 6. Build an invention for a person, a friend, a neighbor, your child, an invention that will help them with something, or even a pet, and you got 20 minutes, and we want to see your inventions. If you want to start building stuff, this is the place for you. Over here, we've got something, this is something we're really excited about. We're going to start doing maker spaces. So one of the things that you're seeing right now is we're going to be grabbing a blank canvas, right? If we gave you a blank canvas, what would you do? And so it's not completely full, but we got some stuff in here. And if you just want to get some stuff and go to your table and create a musical instrument that does not exist, we had music today, right? Create a musical instrument or any other tool out of your creativity. So in both cases, you got a brand new blank canvas. You can create an invention with rigamajig, create an instrument or whatever you like. Go check out Makey Makeys. They're super cool. You start doing instruments out of bananas and fruit and all sorts of different cool stuff. Check out what's happening in summer school. Check out what's happening during our Summer Tech Academy. So guys, 20 minutes. Go, 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 go. Admin, go with your parents.
Yes, I typed in Catherine instead of, yeah. No, I know, I'm glad you got it. I thought,
Yeah, I got a poster that's ready to go out.
Testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. In 5 minutes, in 4 minutes, we're going to present. 4 minutes, get on 9. They're going to present.
What they did?
Yeah.
Volunteer.
See.
And then after that, no more.
In 5 minutes, we're going to take presentations. 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, we'll start with presentations. Presentation in 3 minutes. 3 minutes for presentations. You guys are ready? Yeah? Okay, we'll have you come. 'No. Eduardo me lo cambió. Acá está el original, me lo cambió. Sí, me lo cambió, no sé, como yo decía 3 minutes, yo creo. Two minutes. 2 minutos. Let's start. If you guys are done, let's start taking it that way, because we're going to present off of that, over there on that side. Con mucho cuidado, no pueden. Así, allá, sí, allá. Donde dice caléxico. You can start going in that direction. We're going to present it over here in front of where it says Calexico, okay? Sí, sí, that. Do you have a name, Ms. Montaño? Do you have a name for it? Alex, do you guys have a name for it? "90 seconds. All inventors, if you can start coming to this side, because we're going to go and take turns here real quickly introducing your presentation. So all inventors on this side, please, so you can take turns presenting your inventions, contraptions. You want to be first? 40 seconds. Bernie. Fernando. So you can start, give me some video. Déjate agarrar mi de este. You say you're running out of battery, ¿no? ¿Sí? Sure? Aquí tengo este, mira. Tengo este battery pack. Vamos a empezar con Ms. Villegas primero. Ms. Villegas, where are you? Pásale para acá, Ms. Villegas. So Ms. Villegas is going to present, just kind of show us what you invented.
Okay. Nosotros inventamos un especie de pájaro y sirve de instrumento para, es creativo como para niños de preescolar. Le pusimos colores, plumas y funciona así. Le damos y hace sonido.
Gracias. ¿Es Montaño?
Buenas noches, good evening. We thought, what do we need? ¿Qué necesitamos, verdad, cuando llegamos a casa cansaditas? And so we know that as women, we like to take our things off when we get home, our purses, our coats, and find something to hang, right? And so we thought this was perfect. We call it a
Women's multi-purpose hanger.
and there's also a men's multi-purpose, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So this hangs our coat and then our cell phone, a little pad for our cell phones. We can connect it through a charger here. If you have an umbrella or keys to hang, even your necklaces if you need to. And then an extension of this wonderful hanger is our makeup holder right here for brushes and for lipsticks. And for men, they can hang their caps, their coats, their keys, but we need one for ourselves. Okay? Thank you.
next we have Mr. Aviña. Where are you, Mr. Aviña? Se fue.
Okay. Alrighty. So our great inventors here, we came up with an amazing idea. But first, everybody needs to know that we didn't have bolts, no screws, no tape. So using the best tools available, we decided to create this sled. It has multi-use. It could be used by your pet. It could be used by your neighbor. It could be used by a teacher that is carrying a lot of books. So let me show you. So you grab this device, come in here, and then if you need to carry something, pull something, attach me. So let's say instead of a cart on wheels, well, you're in the snow, right? So you can pull your books to the classroom, right? Or anything you want. 1999.
So like they said, for all that snow in Calexico, right, Mr. Aviña? We really need. Does it come with toys? Do you guys deliver toys? Or maybe. Anybody else with an invention?
¿Va a cantar? Well, you know, we here we have Ms. Mendeville who created this amazing flute. I would ask her to play it, but I think it's just decorative. and then, what do you want me to try? The flute? Well, here's the other piece. We were thinking of a little bit, you know, less is more. And sometimes for those people who are musically inclined, they can make an instrument out of anything. So, so if you notice this little instrument here, you know, if you scrape it once, so notice this thing that now, same instrument, but now I will go ahead and fold it a little bit, and the sound is slightly different. Un poquito más. Right. So you see, it's just a little different. So, listo. Okay.
Porque primera y segunda voz.
Ahí está.
Amo su inocencia.
17 años.
Amo sus errores.
17 años.
Soy su primer novio.
17 años.
Su primer amor.
17 años. Tomamos donativos.
Guys, you did awesome. All of you did awesome. Big round of applause to all of you, to each other, please. The next slide, Eduardo, please. So the contraptions, if you can kind of go ahead and just set them over here. Your instruments, take them with you. The rigamajigs, please do not take those with you because we'll need them for summer school. The rest of the stuff, this was consumable. Let's hear a big round of applause for Ashley. She did an awesome job there in the corner. And again, an awesome job for all of you with your invention. So here we got about a 90-second presentation that gives you some insights into our community day school.
One of the challenges for the community day school was getting it started. Now that we've got it started, we see a lot of positives. A lot of the students have enjoyed the change of scenery, the smaller class size, and the ability to interact with one another and get to know each other. So we find this program to be a successful program now and in the future.
A general ed classroom has a lot of students. Sometimes it's hard for the teacher to get to one particular student in need. With the CDS classroom, you're able to focus on students, their needs, where they're at this particular point in their education, and kind of help them and push them along.
One classroom, one teacher with the CDS, and everything's like 101. Whatever your helping whatever you're slacking on or you need more help to, the teacher's always there. It's always gonna help you. My grades have gone up significantly since the high school. At the high school, there was like a lot more students, a lot more going on, different classes. Here at the community day school, it's a more smaller setting, and everything's just at your own pace. You get things done way quicker and way more efficient. It's less pressure on you. And really, the staff just makes you feel super comfortable. Here at the community day school, you feel like it's school still, but the environment is like bubbly, you know? It's a good environment to learn, and there's a lot of benefits to it.
So again, this is, community school is funded out of our LCAP, so that'll be another one of our actions. So we're ready to do recommendations and to provide input, okay? So what we did is we have many actions that impact schools directly. Then we have other actions that we have up there that you are welcome to view and to provide input, but right now the focus is on the ones that pertain more to your school sites. So what we want to do is we want to have each school take on one of the posters. So over here, these two are together. We have another poster over here. Then we have one right here. And then it goes around, and there's one in the back. And then there's another one on the right side on the back. So if I could have each site administrator from each table walk your table to one of the posters, you will have about 2 minutes to look at the action and provide recommendations. How can we improve? How can we support our students in the subgroups we talked about earlier? What do we do for our students who are under foster care? How can we support our students who are experiencing homelessness or students with disabilities, okay? So each side, pick a poster. You have stickies in your Post-its on your table. Administrators, take a Post-it, take a pencil. Van a leerlos y van a poner recomendaciones en unos papelitos. So llévense en esos, ajá. Yes, yes. So I need another. You have the high score ready? You have that one? Okay. So do I have every school community members? You can also pick one of the posters that you want to be with, one of the sites. You could be with Aurora. Mr. Moreno's out there by himself. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You're going to read it. Administrators, you can explain what you've done with that funding at your site. And then after 2 minutes, we're going to rotate clockwise, like a clock, towards the right. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and begin with the 2 minutes now. Okay, my dear. No, you're not. So what are some of the things that you think we should do to improve our Everybody move to the right. Move to the right, to the next poster. Ms. Flores, move to the right. Next poster. Who else is not moving? Ms. Tabares, move to the right. You can read what others have recommended and you can add to it. Or you can put a check mark if someone put that post-it already for you. You taking pictures? You have 15 seconds. Start putting your post-its onto the posters. Five seconds. That's time. Let's rotate to the right. Everybody go to the right. Okay, we're starting the next 2 minutes for the next station. I need you to move to the next station. I'm missing a group over here. Right here. So this is our summer school program. It's open to every single one of our students. And what we do is we embed, instead of just, before we used to have the technology academy, the writing academy. Now our students go through 3 stations. So all students have access to technology, all students have access to math, and every student has access to writing. And they rotate. That way every student gets activities. And so this time we're going to be doing some maker spaces in the technology. So it's not necessarily picnic. Yeah, but what can we do specifically to support our subgroups? Okay, we're ready to move. Start going to your right. Your attendance, you're going to get whatever it is. This is to incentivize attendance and engagement.
Yeah, I think this is really important for
Okay, we're ready to rotate. Rotate to the next station. It's fast, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, get the task done. And take the time to read what others have posted. One that stood out.
Okay, so. Okay, so si dejo la cámara todavía, te quiero tomar fecha. ¿Sí sabes que te tomando fotos todo el día? I just won't show it. I caught you in the front. I caught you in the front presenting. They say 360. No, no, no. How much more minutes?
Yeah, we have about another 3 turns around.
So 6 minutes?
Okay, we're going to be moving in 5 seconds. Finish your thoughts. Okay, time to rotate. Let's do one more rotation. One more rotation. Which one? What? How did you bring it in?
Can we get him in order to take it to, what I'm thinking is take it to the CAP Center?
We have another one in there.
We have another one.
It's in the box.
So we're probably going to do our trainings in the summer school in the CAP Center. He's at summer school.
Bueno, yo traigo mi Suburban.
I got my truck, so. Being very careful now, we lay it down. Think so?
So that way we can take it to the CAP Center and just leave it there where we're going to do our training. And once it's summer school, we'll take it to our summer school.
Okay, we have a few seconds. Let's go ahead and finish up. Okay, I want you to stay where you're at. Okay? Stay where you're at. I know you've seen multiple posters. You've seen different actions. So what I want to know is there anything that stood out that you're wanting to share with everybody in terms of the recommendation? Because we can't go through all of them, but who wants to share out something that they saw in one of those posters where we could really improve in our services? Who wants to share out? Over here. And that's okay. You can tell me which one. You can say it's on athletics. On sports, here.
Hire a PE teacher for elementary. That would be great. Yes. For sports, yes.
So for sports, hire a PE teacher that goes through all the elementaries. Okay? Who wants to go next? Anybody else? Anything that came up in one of your actions? Mr. Vélez.
I'm not sure how logistically we can carry this out, but on this particular poster and that's not just for foster and homeless kids, but I think for all our kiddos, is a peer mentoring program. I remember being in school and there was friends of mine who worked either in the library or a tutoring center that provided assistance to their peers. I think that's something our kiddos need to do more. It's been said that you learn a lot by teaching something, and I think not only those kids who are mentoring others will learn, but also those kids who are receiving the tutoring from their peers. We've thought about a program that we can share with our elementaries, where maybe our AVID kids can go down to our elementaries and provide reading assistance to our elementary school students, who eventually will be ours. But the problem for us is, how do we get them there? When do we do that? There's a discussion that needs to take place as to how do we make this happen logistically, because we have 4 feeder schools at Willie Moreno, and only one of them is across the street. So to really benefit all our kids coming to our school, how do we make it happen so that our kids can attend and help those other kids?
Thank you. Anybody else?
Ideas of improving attendance. One is get students motivated with more end of the month perfect attendance awards, more attendance clerk hours, our community liaison for our elementary schools, training for our students, train students on the impact of being absent. Parents inviting parents. How do we get, more parents involved so they can hear all of that? Let's have our parents invite more parents. Parent outreach through social workers. Have our social workers also know how attendance affects our students. More parent trainings. Elementary schools have not taken advantage of the community liaison. You know, where is our community liaison? Is it for secondary or is it gonna be for elementary? Need a full-time attendance clerk for larger schools. Foster youth, hold a forum for parents to let them know about absences early on and bring awareness to the social workers of our foster students.
And one more person that wants to share. Okay, Betsy.
Okay. Well, I know that maybe there's a gap with services for foster youth, meaning like, is there a program in each school that focuses solely on foster youth? A lot of times, I mean, because being a former foster youth myself, I know that it's hard to like be around other students sometimes, and I think services that work with foster youth where they can build a community and be, you know, with each other and then bring in those mentors and be with them. I think creating services for foster youth, specifically a program where they can benefit from, where it's focused on them, would be beneficial. Anything you want to add? So I think that also empowering students is important, because when you're, I remember now. When you're working with students, if you're teaching them a subject, or if they're working in like science, math, and all those things, I mean, yeah, you can teach it to them, but really you want to build them up in order for them to grasp the material, right? To build their confidence, build their self-esteem, in order for them to open up to work with that material. I feel that that's really important, because like for me, I needed to build my confidence enough for me to get there. So that's what I wanted to share.
Okay, so with that, we want to thank everybody for coming, doing presentations. I know that our meetings last about 2 hours, but we really wanted to change the way we did our input and do it more interactive and share with you how we're spending some of these monies. Our next meeting is going to be at Blanche Charles Elementary. We're on the other side of town, and we'll be working on goal number 5, which is on parent engagement. So you've all mentioned a lot of information about parent engagement. So we're planning on doing an activity. We're actually going to have some of our parents who are actually here, some of you here, who will be doing a panel and sharing your experiences as you participated over time with us. And so next Tuesday, 6 p.m., Blanche Charles Elementary, everybody is super welcome to come. And we have what? Yes. Oh, ignore the address. That's the 9th grade campus. I forgot to change it. Blanche, this is not the address. It's on Cloak. Sorry. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for participating, and thank you for providing your input. Thank you, community members, too.